nervous because I'm here now.
Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell here along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we're going to jump right into it here, Glenn. Got the news this morning that Dez Bryant is going to be working out with the Baltimore Ravens, and just to hype it up even more, John Harbaugh was asked about it and decided that he didn't have a comment for it. So to me, increases the
more.
Yeah, exactly. Increases the likelihood that Dez Bryant potentially could be a Baltimore Raven. So let's get into it right now. What are your initial thoughts? I'll give you mine, and we'll talk about it a little bit. What do you think?
Well, my initial thoughts are, I guess it doesn't hurt to work anybody out, and to at least take a look at a guy and see what he's got.
Is that about to be your only positive?
No, it's
Okay,
not my
cool.
only positive, because there is a chance that, through his recent adversity that he had to face, which had to have been tough when he finally got – thought he got back in the league when the Saints took a flyer on him, and then was his first practice, he blows out his Achilles. I mean,
yeah, something crazy, man.
Like within the first hour, he was a New Orleans Saint. He blew out his Achilles. It's crazy. So maybe through that adversity, he's matured. He's learned that, you can't turn to social media when you're upset, and you can't, solve your problems and your issues with the team through social media. It just never ends well. So maybe he's matured, and maybe. This is a guy who, kind of struggled with separation towards the end of his career before the Achilles injury. He's always been a great red zone threat with, his incredible leaping ability, and he can high point the ball. But if he struggled with, getting open and getting separation before Achilles injury, I can't imagine he's a whole ton quicker. I mean, I would guess that he's probably lost a step of quickness through the Achilles injury. I don't know. Or I guess he could have taken, through that injury, taken rehab so seriously, and it made him maybe become more of a workout warrior, and maybe more of a gym rat, and maybe his whole body is in better shape now. I don't know, but my thing is, it doesn't hurt to bring him in, and he would provide some insurance for what if Miles Boykin doesn't turn out to be what we're hoping, which is the big body possession red zone threat. That he seems to be the only guy on the roster that could fit that role outside of maybe Jaleel Scott, but I think we all agree that he's had his opportunity. So he could provide some insurance, some red zone insurance, some of that possession receiver insurance. But I don't know, how much can this guy – how old is he? Do you have his age in front of you? Let's see. He was born – so he's 31. He's a year younger than me.
Yeah, he's 31 years old, 287 days.
Yes. I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about this. If he's in incredible shape and he's motivated and he's learned from his, past transgressions, then maybe. I mean, what's your thought? I know you were talking about Dez 5 months ago.
I feel like longer than that. I feel like I've been riding the Dez train for a while, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, look, Ravens fans, just get on the James bandwagon for this one, because I'm going to convince you why we want Dez Bryant.
All right.
Couple of things to keep in mind. I believe wholeheartedly that he has definitely become a workout warrior. I mean, just look at some of the videos. To me, he looks different than pre-injury. Totally different injuries, totally different people. But if you remember, and I think I've referenced this before, Derrick Rose had a 40-inch vert pre-ACL. Everyone thought, how's he going to come back? 44-inch vert post-surgery, post-rehab. What? Right?
Wow.
But a lot of it had to do with the fact that he took inventory of his body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the knee, but everything, and reconstructing yourself. It gives you an opportunity to really take inventory of yourself, reconstruct your body the way you want to, because it's the only focus that you have, not actually playing on the field, and maximize every piece of your body that you can. And I think that I believe wholeheartedly that Dez, this injury could be the best thing that happened to him, in a way that it revitalized his ability to turn himself into something that he wouldn't have. I think he was starting to depend too much on his gifts that he had before that were starting to diminish, but now he has an opportunity to kind of revitalize and find new physical gifts that he wouldn't have an opportunity to discover had he just been playing football. So I think that this could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe I'm an insane optimist, but I think he's going to come back roaring, ready to go from a physical standpoint. Mentally, I think it's forced him to mature. You talked about that. And so I think that's going to, he talked about he's in a different headspace. And I think he just realized how much he loves football, misses being out there. Look, number 3, there's one thing that no one can ever say Dez isn't. No one can ever say Dez Bryant is not a dog. Dez Bryant is an absolute dog. And I want that mentality in our wide receiver core. Like, at the end of the day, outside of Hollywood, yeah, like Snead's got some dog in him, but
Duvernay?
Yeah, but he's a rookie. I mean, he's a lot of unproven, commodities there. And this is the other thing I will say. I made this comparison with Colin Kaepernick. People talk about, he's been out of the league for this long and the other. Yeah, well, walking around, Colin Kaepernick's more athletic than 99% of the people on earth. Period. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like Dez falls into that category. Walking around, he's already more athletic, more physically gifted than 90% of the wide receivers in the NFL.
Well, I don't know about that. More than most people, more than me and you, but not when you compare him against his peers.
I think so. I think physical gifts, Dez is
in his prime, but not 32.
I think 32,
with a blown Achilles.
I feel good about it. I'm sticking to that number. I feel good about it.
Well, let me say this. I don't think there's any – you mentioned that Derrick Rose may have improved his vertical, but I don't think there's anybody who would doubt that he looks like a different player and a player who's lost some explosiveness since before the injury.
Oh, I think he's also learned to depend on other parts of his game instead of just that. I think he got smarter too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he diversified.
he had to get smarter because he lost some explosiveness.
So let's hope Dez does the same thing.
Yes, I know. I agree with you. But the thing that worries me is that he's never been a really high catch percent type guy. Like his last 3 years, his catch percents were, 43% of his ball that he caught. That is pathetic.
Yeah.
And then 52 and 52 his last 2 years in Dallas. So his last 3 is 43, 52, 52. That is not what you want to see out of a big time. He drops a lot of balls. He always has dropped a lot of balls. Now he's made some incredible catches, but he's dropped some easy ones too.
Yeah.
That worries me. Then you look at yards per target. He had 5, 8, and 6 his last 3 years in Dallas. That's terrible. I mean, that's not something that you want to brag about. Now, he has been relatively healthy outside of the Achilles injury throughout his career, so that's a plus. But I just worry that a guy who struggled to get separation before that type of injury, if he'll ever get there. But, again, it doesn't hurt to bring the guy in. Now, let me ask you this, though, Jimmy. Do you think we've seen the Ravens at least appear from the outside to once you kind of burn them, in a sense, like once they offer you a contract and you refuse it, they seem to hold a grudge a little bit for that. Mm-hmm. They offered Dez Bryant a contract in the past, and he refused it. Why do you think they're now willing to take him in? You know what I'm saying? Typically the Ravens are burned.
I think there's 2 reasons. 1, their lack of confidence in the wide receiver depth. 2, their respect for Dez's physical gifts. That you have to bring a guy that's that physically gifted in. I think it would be it would be negligence on the part of the front office to say, we have this need. There's a guy on the street that can fit that need. I don't care what our past relationship was, but if we don't at least kick the tires on this, we would be being negligent. Right? Like,
then what's the difference between him and Antonio?
Well, to me that's easy. I think that Antonio, first of all, is only going to play half the season. Second of all,
the legal problems.
But also, I think that while Dez has had some rifts with his teammates, nothing compared to Antonio. Antonio, to me, is the absolute nuclear option.
Right. No,
you know what I mean?
I just wanted to.
So I do see how they're people could say, well, Dez could bring some issues in the locker room and things like that. I really believe that Dez has been truly humbled by this experience.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine he wouldn't be. I mean,
he has no other choice.
He has literally no other choice, and he's further removed from action than even an Antonio Brown is, who a lot of people say he's.
But
desperate.
I want to refute some of your stats, Glenn. Not refute the integrity of them. Of course, they're legitimate. But I think that if you look at his last 3 years in Dallas, I mean, he was really the number 1, right? Like, who else? So I don't think he's a number 1 anymore, right? Like, I wouldn't consider him a number 1, but I think he can be one heck of a number 2. I mean, I think at this point in his career. So I think that based on the fact that some of the pressure of being a number 1 will be alleviated, will really help his game, and I think help some of those stats. They're gonna have to help a lot, pay a lot of respect to Hollywood and what he can do. They're going to have to pay a lot of respect to Mark Andrews and what he can do. And look, Dez in a one-on-one scenario with a lot of these corners, he's going to be bigger. He's going to be stronger. He's going to be able to, like you said, high point the ball better than these guys. So I think that will make a difference in those stats too, where he's not dependent on to be your premier number one, carry the wide receiver core type guy in comparison to the way he was in Dallas.
No, that'll certainly help. But look, I wouldn't be totally opposed to bringing Dez in. I just worry that you're not going to get the return that I think a lot of people are expecting. I mean, here's the thing. He's played in his last season with Dallas. He did play a full 16-game season. He played every game, which is great. But he had 132 targets, and he only turned that into 69 catches. To me, he's not going to get – I mean, how many targets would you expect? Say the Ravens sign him and he plays all 16. I mean, I would be surprised if he got more than 60 targets in our offense.
Right. So I agree with you there. What if he gets 60 targets, he gets 40 receptions, but he keeps that same number, 6 touchdowns? I'm taking
Well, that would be great. But my question that I was getting ready to propose to you is, would Dez be happy with that type of a diminished role? Is he – I guess the question is he to the point – has he been humbled enough to the point that he's willing to accept – he'll be at least the third option in the passing game behind Andrews and behind Hollywood, correct?
Right.
So at the very best, he'll be our third option. Is he humbled enough to accept being the third option on a team?
And, it's crazy because in the past, I was never a Dez guy. I hate the Cowboys. Like, I hate everything about the Cowboys from the owner down. I hate the Cowboys. But I was not on the Dez train when he was in Dallas. But right. I feel like just following him throughout this time that he's been out, I feel like he's there mentally. And that's always been Dez's thing. When he's out there mentally ready to go. Look what he did in 2014. We know that was a big year for him financially, right? Like 16 touchdowns. And obviously we're not expecting any sort of that as far as a return on investment when we bring him in for a minimum or something like that. But I really, truly believe, I think that he would be happy to be on a team that can win, to contribute, to get out there, sweat, be amongst teammates again. And I think that in his sleep, Dez Bryant can get 6 touchdowns.
I mean, he would certainly be great add to the red zone.
Yeah.
Because right now it seems like Mark Andrews is our sole red zone threat through the air. And I will say this, but if you just look up his years, 12, 13, and 14. Holy smokes. The guy put up some numbers. So I guess in summary, if the Ravens offer him a contract and he signs it, I will be happy. And the reason I'll be happy is because he obviously showed the coaches that he's back physically enough to gain separation from NFL corners, and that he would propose an NFL or red zone threat to opposing defenses. So if the Ravens sign him, that means they think he's got it, and I trust the Ravens coaches and talent evaluators. So I would be happy if they sign. I just say, don't get too excited if you're a Ravens fan, because this is just a workout. They're only looking to see what he's got, and it could end up being just that and ending there as just a workout. But yeah, man, if they bring him in, he must have something left.
Absolutely. And you know what, Glenn? I'm before we go here, I'm gonna say the exact opposite of what you just said. He's gonna be a Raven.
Oh, you're confident?
I'm calling it right now. He's gonna be up 88. He's gonna walk out. He's gonna throw up the X. He's going to score 6 touchdowns.
88. Oh, no, that's right. Boykins is 80, right?
Yeah.
So is 88 available right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if it isn't, he's going to pay somebody, so it is. Anyway, I think it's more of a done deal than we think. I think Dez, as long as he looks good. Look, the Ravens have admired him from afar from his draft days.
Oh, no, they liked him back in the day. They tried to get him, but he kind of burned them and said, I'd rather go play with Drew Brees than Joe Flacco.
Well, I can't blame him.
Yeah, that's true. Dang it.
But, yeah, man, that's I'm really excited about it. So you guys let us know what you think. Are you in favor of it? Do you think it will happen? Are you against it? I'm glad to hear Glenn's come around to our side, that he'll be happy with the signing.
Yes.
But let us know what you think. Make sure to take 2 seconds, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to give us a like, leave your comments, and we'll be back soon with all the latest Ravens news.
See you.